Hey guys, it's Jessie. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to day 3 of bookmas. So please excuse if you can see my blanket at any point. It is freezing in my room. I woke up this morning, 12 degrees. My radiator said it was 12 degrees in the room, and I was like, wow, that's absolutely fabulous. I also cut my fringe a little bit too short, so we're just going to ignore these factors and get into the video. Today I thought I'd do something that I've never actually done before, but I've seen on booktube going around for years now. I've never actually done it, so I thought I'd give it a go. So we are going to be reading 1-star reviews of my favourite books. I feel very passionately about a lot of my favourite books. My opinions are correct and everyone else is just purely wrong and stupid and they don't get it. With that being said, obviously all respect to everyone. If you like a book, great. If you don't like a book, fine. Like whatever, like this is all in jest. I promise I am joking. I will not be upset or offended. I like plenty of books that people hate and I hate plenty of books that people love. That is the beauty of reading, is that everyone feels different connections to books and books can invoke such strong emotions in people, etc, etc. You guys know the drill. Like, we're not here to get offended, so please, if I somehow pick up your review, please don't cry, and I'm very, very sorry. And without further ado, I'm going to get into my favourite shelf of my Goodreads. I'll link my Goodreads down below if you guys do want to follow it. Keep in mind you will be spoiled for all my ratings for all my videos because I don't like to wait to update my Goodreads. I'm on there immediately when I finish a book. What should we go with first? I think, should I go for kind of my most recent addition to my favourite shelf, and that'll be The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman. This has got a very high rating. This has got a 4.55 on Goodreads, and I feel like this is unlikely to have a lot of low ratings just because it's the 4th in the series. If you don't like the series, why would you continue on? I would argue this is the best in the series, one of my favourite books of all time. It is beautiful, it is sad, but at the same time, like in the next chapter you'll be laughing. Like, it's really, really an incredible book and an incredible series, has a lot to say about life, etc. The reason I think people might not like it, I guess maybe because it's very sad, and yeah, that's all I can really think. Like, if you're in the 3rd book, I can't imagine anyone would give it a 1 star. So it has very few 1-star reviews. They like the first in the series, the characters were fresh, fun, blah 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 blah. The series has devolved until the 4 main characters are one-dimensional and slotted into each other into their respective roles. That, I could not disagree with that more. I feel like the characters are so multi-dimensional. The villains of the piece are correspondingly shallow and seem to be based on a bizarre Eastern European criminal trope. I don't think that is the case. It says, the police department has been reduced to the most bumbling and inept. I feel like that's kind of the point. Like, it's kind of fun. It's like a cozy mystery. It's not meant to be serious. It says, the plot itself no longer is interesting at all and it's entirely second to the characterizations. This offering is no more than an author's cash grab. There are better things to do with your time. I think that this is like the furthest thing from a cash grab just because it's such a like heartfelt story, but oh my goodness, Joe, just clearly not a fan. This was my first Thursday Murder Club mystery. Unfortunately, I think I should have started with 1. That is what you normally do with a series. These are not interconnected standalones. This is very much a series that follows along. This one also says I haven't attempted to read the previous 3. Okay, so I think this is kind of the main issue. This one says absolutely terrible. The series has gone woke and was ruined. You know, each to their own. And yeah, I think a lot of these seem to be from people who have only read this one, which kind of makes sense. I mean, it follows in a series. If I were to pick up a series midway through, that wouldn't be surprising, but that's fine. Okay, that one didn't have super interesting ones. Daisy Hates, okay, Daisy Hates 4 is on my like favourites list, but I think if we look at the reviews of Magnolia Parks, it'll be much more interesting, which I also gave a 5 stars. So let's go to the 1-star reviews. The reason I think people won't like this one, I will say, because it's toxic, but like you go into it knowing it's toxic, and okay, controversial opinion, it's not that toxic. Like, I've been in a toxic relationship. It was a lot worse than what they're going through. They're just like cheating on each other, like that's all, and they're like, they're not even together, they're like together but not together, and then they're like doing things to make each other jealous. That's all. It's like, it's not like, it could be a lot worse. It's not that bad. This one says, I can enjoy toxic romance, but this is badly written, boring, repetitive shit with no chemistry. Yeah, waste of my time. BJ's got to be the most annoying character I've ever read about. I won't continue to read. Okay, I will say I don't think it's badly written at all. I think, in my personal opinion, I think Jessihinesbiz writing is gorgeous, so I do not know how you could say that. Repetitive, yeah, fair enough, it is very repetitive, and no chemistry. I mean, I do prefer Christian and Daisy, so that's kind of like fair. This one says, Magnolia and BJ are what happens when you're suffering from a traumatic brain injury. BJ's not a real man, he's toxic and a big fucking idiot. That's actually hilarious. I don't love him. He's not my favourite character from the series. This one also says they don't like the paragraphs describing all the clothes. I'm like, that's fair enough, but I just skimmed through that. This one says, DNF at 51%. I want to throat punch every character in the book. Fair. This one says, I'm a messy bitch for toxic drama, but only if the toxicity is mutual. I feel like it very much is in this book. My biggest deal breaker is doormat FMC's girl, he fucked you up, you have no right to sit back and whine. Buckle the fuck up and get ready to be the pettiest bitch alive. He goes low, you go lower. This one says DNF, but I really do think that is the case. I feel like they're both hurting each other, like the ways that will hurt each other the most. Like BJ's getting into kind of like just sleeping with loads of people, and Magnolia's getting into like actual relationships, if that makes sense. So I feel like they very much are toxic to each other, but fair enough. A lot of people just have DNFs on here. This book reminded me why I hate men so much. Fair enough, valid. Oh my god, the only thing this book was good for was killing the spider in my bathroom. To clarify, the 1 star is for how well this book worked as a weapon. Jesus, oh my god. Okay, these are ones I don't feel like I can kind of see it. Like, it's fine. This is the worst book I've ever read in my life. I went through all the stages. I cried, physically cried, because it was so bad. What the fuck? I want to yell. I have the worst feelings inside of me because I wasted so much of my precious life that I will never get back, and it pains me because if I could, I would go back and literally kill whoever recommended this book to me. I want to die. I want to die. Please someone kill me. I have nothing to look forward to. I've not read the second book. I will not. Nothing could make me read that. I'm going to pretend I never read that. It just pains me most that I finished my book goals with this fucking shit book. I feel like they ruined British people. Oh my god, they ruined British people. Okay, well, I mean, that's some strong opinions. I cannot imagine crying at a book because I hated it so much. The girl read it in one day. She read it August 16th, August 17th. So, I mean, it's addictive writing. Like, you can't put it down. Wow. I mean, it evokes feelings, clearly. A lot of evocative feelings. Fair enough. That's hilarious. Okay. A lot of these reviews are like multi-paragraph, and I'm not gonna read that all out because I'm not good. This one just says, fell asleep, not picking it up again, bye series. I mean, maybe just like have an energy drink, you know, it's fine. This one says, whoever says that this book is the British version of Gossip Girl must hate the show, and I disagree so much. I feel like they are literally Chuck and Blair without the dodgy like sexual assault stuff from Chuck. They're like better Chuck and Blair. Like, how is it not Gossip Girl? Gossip Girl is all about the drama. This is like all about the drama. Like, it's quite literally almost copy and paste. Not quite, that was a bit rude. I mean, like they're so similar. And then we're going for The House in the Cerulean Sea. People won't like this because they don't get it, to be honest. People will read this and don't realise it's a cozy fantasy. They'll be like, it's boring, and I'll be like, you just don't get it. Like, I know some people have criticised like the Thursday Murder Club for being slow, and I'm like, it's cozy, it's a cozy book, like it's meant to be like that. And like, fair enough, if you haven't tried the genre before, you want to give it a go, fine, but like, if you know you don't like slow books, don't pick up cozy books, my opinion. So we will see. I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. Let's see what anyone else says. To be fair, there's not a lot of 1 stars. Okay, this one says, short version, 2 twee for words, long version, this book's about tolerance and acceptance. Will tell you in many sentences, starting a paragraph with every new sentence as a stylistic choice to sound like a Saturday morning cartoon voiceover. To be honest, I feel like it is very sweet. It is very like happy, heartfelt. Like, it's a happy book. Like, it made me kind of nostalgic in a way. It felt like nostalgic, like children's books type of thing, but obviously as an adult novel. I feel like I disagree massively that it can be too happy. Like, do you hate happiness? I don't get it. Like, why do people just want to be sad? It's so cute. Oh, this one just says, what a dreadful waste of time and paper. The premise was okay, but the characters were one-dimensional at best, and the orphans came off as a set of fairy tale cliches who are apparently meant to be charming by virtue of sheer obnoxiousness. In fact, this whole book read like it wanted to be a comic book. Simplistic, preachy, predictable, cartoonish, and unclever no matter how you slice it. That's a bit savage. Firstly, the children, in my opinion, are the best part of the book. I think they're adorable. They are literally so cute. I feel like cartoonish also can't be really a criticism because there's kind of like meant to be cute, it's meant to be fantasy, it's meant to be like wholesome and stuff like that. I feel like that was kind of intentional. I guess if that's something you're not looking for, then you're not going to enjoy it. This is a dreadful waste of time and paper. It's a little bit savage. This one says, did I read a different book to everyone else? This is a typical YA rom-com. Nothing really happens. It's so over the top with the saccharine sentimentality. It just made me roll my eyes. Meh, I'll never get this time back. I really think the romance aspect is such a low part of it. It's so much more a story of like found family and stuff like that, but covered it of YA rom-com. I feel like maybe I did read a different book to everyone else. This one says, the book reads like a children's story, but their main character is a middle-aged man. Seriously, why? I don't need to read about a 40-year-old man talking to a cat. Not that there's anything wrong with talking to your cat, but I don't need to read about it. Fair enough. I mean, I kind of said that that's what I liked about it. So again, it's kind of like I said at the start, it's good and fun to see like how different people feel about different books, but like I loved that it reminded me of like a children's book. I thought it was so wholesome, and like it's not a childish book, I would really argue, but yeah, I loved it. It was so cute. Next up, what should I go for? Should we go for Part of Your World? I loved Part of Your World. I thought it was such a cute romance. The reason I think people might not like this, I don't know, maybe if they like a grumpy, like brooding, like main character that's in a lot of romance, like male main character, I feel like that's not the case in this one. I mean, there's not very many 1-star reviews at all. Oh my god, a lot of these are long. I'm not gonna read the long one. This one says, it was too long, 150 pages could have been cut and it wouldn't change a thing. I don't think so. I think it was perfect. Like, it could have been longer. I loved it. Okay, this one says 1.75 5, I'll make a list about the things that I hated because there's a few, but I can't stand people not caring about others getting abused. I feel like I can understand that, but also that's such a real life thing. Like, that's so common in everyday life. But it says, 1, a low-key gory birth scene we did not need. I mean, fair enough. I wasn't put off by it. She said she's excusing her dad being emotionally abusive just because he's their dad. Again, I feel like it deals with a lot of complex dynamics within family and how it's difficult to kind of like come to terms with the fact that the people you love aren't always good people. Do you know what I mean? And like often it's kind of hard to, you know, come to terms with that. But I feel like towards the end she definitely did. Then it says, they've got so much miscommunication and dramatic shit happening for no reason. I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. And then she spent the whole book talking about her ex-husband being abusive, and then in the end she forgives him because he trauma dumped. I really don't think there was a forgiveness there. There was just kind of like a, I don't know, was it a, I can't remember it now, but I feel like there wasn't like a forgiveness, it was like a moving on type of thing. Oh my god, no, sorry, this book felt like an AI who's read too many romance novels wrote it, full of cheesy lines, basic predictable characters. I didn't finish, the canned responses were too much. I'm confused what people still like about it. I'm going to guess it's the audience that still makes Hallmark movies profitable. No, this is like the least generic romance that I've read. I feel like it's so heartfelt, it's so deep, it's so personal. I like don't understand how people disagree with me. This one just says age gaps aren't my thing. I was like, then why did you pick up the book? Very much quite clear. Fair enough, you know, each their own. Oh my god, this says an AI thing as well. This says if ChatGPT wrote a romance novel, this would be it. So aggressively mediocre that it ended up being downright bad. Oh my god. Guys, I do not understand. Now we are going to move on to Beartown. I do not understand why anyone would not like Beartown. I feel like I love it because the characters are so like real. I feel like you really get to see into the mind of a lot of the characters. I guess people might not like that there is a large cast of characters with jumping around perspectives a lot, maybe. But yeah, I absolutely adored it. Like so much. So we will see what people say. And the writing I think is incredible. This one says, wow, this was bad. I love this other book so much, but this was a big disappointment. I didn't like the story or the characters and couldn't wait for it to end. It was too much like a YA book. My head hurts from rolling my eyes so much. I disagree massively. I adored it. Obviously, as you can tell, it's a favourite book. Did not get YA book vibes at all. I feel like the characters were so real and so lovable and so complex, and yeah, oh my goodness, I just don't understand. This one says, I hated this book. I hated the characters, hated the town, hated how everything ended. Maybe that was the author's intent, but you left me feeling pissed off and not in the right ways, so you're probably supposed to after reading a book like this. I feel like the ending is very much realistic, and I feel like I really enjoyed the ending because it felt very like true to life, I guess. But I hated the characters. Oh my god, I love so many of these characters. I felt like the town was so real. I was just so connected to it. Oh my goodness. This one says, what on earth do people love about this book? I'm totally perplexed by its rating here. I found it self-indulgent, in love with its own sense of poetry of sport, or its notion that says sport. The characters were thin and boring, but it was the self-serious writing style that made me infuriated. The writing is gorgeous, for one, and thin and boring. Oh my goodness, there are some of the most fleshed out and developed characters I've ever met. I'm so perplexed. This one's just very simply not my kind of book. I mean, fair enough. This is kind of what I expected. I would have rated this book 0 stars, but I'm giving some credit for the ending. I didn't understand anything that went on during the book. I was very confused when the author switched points of views. I didn't notice until I read 2 paragraphs. In my opinion, the book was very dull and there wasn't much action. I feel like the book is overrated. He does jump between point of views a lot. For me, I found it quite easy to tell, but I feel like I was like very invested in the book. I was loving it. I read like the whole second half in one sitting, so that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean, I disagree about it being dull. There wasn't a ton of action, I do agree, but I don't feel like you need that in a book for it to be interesting. But again, that's just personal preference. But yeah, oh my goodness, I just feel like I am the only one with perfect taste and nobody else agrees with me. This one says, the story is interesting, but the locker room language is very offensive. I choose to read better literature. And then one comment after it just says pussy. I was like, okay, well, there's clearly some disagreement going on there. But I think for the language used, none of it, I don't find any of it like gratuitous, if that makes sense. I felt like it was kind of realistic and it helped paint the picture of like what the characters were like and stuff like that. This one says, this book was so repetitive, I did not enjoy it at all, felt zero connection, interest with the characters, very cliche, lots of eye rolling whilst reading this one. I feel like I loved the repetition within the book. I feel like it was so intentional, and there were certain bits that like certain phrases that were repeated multiple times, like at the start and ends of a paragraph and stuff like that. But again, it's just personal preference. It's so funny because everything I love about the book, some people hate. Next we're going to do If We Were Villains. I feel like this might be controversial. People might find this one a bit boring. I just adored the vibes. I adored the characters, like the characterizations, etc, etc. But I feel like some people won't like the characters. Oh yeah, also because it's similar to The Secret History, which I haven't read. This one says, I'm going to break my silence and speak my truth. This is The Secret History for dummies with annoying theatre majors, and you can't convince me otherwise. If you're going to very blatantly rip off what I consider as one of the best novels ever written, at least do a good job. Coming from someone who loves Shakespeare to the point point where she took 4 Shakespeare courses during college. They were unbearably annoying. I mean, fair enough. To be fair, I haven't read The Secret History, so I might think that once I read it, but like I adored it. I love their like commitment to it. I love that they were unbearable. Like they were so annoying, but like that was like who they were. I felt like it was very much intentional. This one says, what normal human being starts quoting Shakespeare verbatim in the middle of the sentence? I need to get a credit. I mean, they are annoying. They're theatre kids. I have been a theatre kid before. Theatre kids are annoying, like we know this. This one says at the start, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, I would 100% not recommend reading this unless you love Shakespeare and or are familiar with his work. I do not know any Shakespeare and I absolutely loved it. Like I know the plot of The Tempest and A Midsummer's Night Dream and that's it. So I really would disagree with that one. I feel like you don't have to know Shakespeare, so please do not be put off by it. This one says, the last page was not bad. That's as positive as I can get without vomiting. I mean, I did enjoy the last page. The last page was very good. I personally liked every single other page as well, but we can disagree on that one. This one said, this book almost made me quit reading altogether. To be fair, I love dark academia. This one says, okay, I think I just don't like dark academia. This was so boring to me. I hated everyone, blah, blah, blah. Didn't like a lot of the characters. I personally feel like that added to my experience, but fair enough. And yeah, people were just saying like it was boring and that they didn't like how much it was similar to The Secret History, but again, I haven't read it, so fair enough. This one says, if I could put 0 stars, I would. There's no character build up and it is deathly slow. I feel like the characters are so fleshed out. I could not disagree more. I literally love it so much, I've asked for a special edition for Christmas. Then let's do Happy Place. The reason I think people won't like Happy Place is because they don't like happiness, to be honest. No, I feel like maybe people will think that it's not focused on the romance enough. I've heard a lot of people say that it is kind of like lit fic with a subplot of romance. I disagree massively. I feel like it's definitely a romance, but maybe with more of a kind of like other plot lines as well, if that makes sense. So it's less purely focused on the romance, but that definitely is the main plot. So I feel like this could have a lot more 1-star reviews because it was quite popular. Again, trying to pick not long ones. This one just says, Miss Henry, can you explain how Shorty's going to pay off those loans? This one just says, no offense, but you guys are lying. Guys, I do not understand. How do you not love it? Guys, it's beautiful. It is such an incredible story. This one says, I was so irritated with this book. I basically hate Reddit. So much eye rolling, so much miscommunication. These characters are so idiotic with their decisions and ideas of love/romance. The friend group is also stupid. The way everyone treats each other is terrible. Ugh, definitely the worst rom-com. It's not rom-com. Worst rom-com I've read and the worst Emily Henry book so far. It's her best. It's her best work. The friendships and being in your 20s and having to deal with all of this stuff and like the personal issues that they have, and there's a bit of miscommunication, but like there's so many like reasons behind it. It's so clear that like this is just who the characters are and what they're struggling with is meaning that they're behaving like this. It's not just miscommunication for the sake of miscommunication. I swear, I beg, please guys, love it. This one just says, not my happy place. It made me laugh because at the end of my review I'm like, this is my happy place. I love this book. It made me so happy. So we're clearly in different people. This one says, I had to force myself to finish this book. It was boring and felt like middle school drama. A lot of miscommunication between a couple and among friends. I was drained at the end. I didn't even enjoy the happy parts. I was so tired and annoyed with everyone. This one just says, if I had any semblance of self-respect, I'd stop reading these, although I feel like this was the worst yet. It's literature. It's a masterpiece of literature. This one says, the ending absolutely ruined this book and I'm pissed. I don't understand how you can think that. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not remembering the book. I feel like there was nothing dramatic in the ending that really changed things. I mean, I guess there was a thing that was revealed, but like I don't think that would change my perspective of the book. Guys, like I do not understand. This one, oh my god, it says, this disappointed me. Great concept but awful execution. Second chance romance is supposed to be about what happens the second time around. Happy Place took too much space telling us the story of how it began and how very little about how to make it work again. I disagree massively. I feel like once you find the reason they broke up, you don't need to know a load about them getting back together. Like, I feel like I want to know the backstory to know kind of why they broke up, what happened, and like how they first met. I feel like that's like some of the best stuff. Like, guys, I cannot disagree more with you. Okay, now I'm going to go to, what should we go for? Maybe Convenience Store Woman. This is a bit of a rogue one. I feel like people just find it boring, to be honest. Not a lot happens. It's kind of just like a very slice of life story about a woman who's obsessed with working in a convenience store, to be honest. This one here says, I get it, I just don't care for it. I feel like you don't get it. Like, I feel like the girls that get it, they love it. You don't get it. Like, if you don't like it, you don't get it, because if you get it, you'll love it. It's just like so encapsulating, I feel like. This one says, thanks, I hate it. I understand the criticism of social conventions, but the execution was super weird, overly descriptive and boring. Like, it's meant to be weird, it's an odd book, but yeah, I get like it's slow, so I can understand why people would think it was boring. I think a lot of these are people saying it's not what they were expecting because it says like funny on the front, and it's definitely not the case. This one just says, I hated it so much. I mean, disagree. And a lot of these are saying there's like a lack of plot, and I'm like, fair enough. Yeah, I feel like it's just like a misalignment with the way it was advertised, maybe. Let's do Horror Store last. I love Horror Store. It's got a 3.66. I'm in a minority. It's camp, it's fun, it goes there, like it commits to the bit. I feel like if you're picking up a book that is laid out like an IKEA catalogue, I feel like you have to go into it with that in mind. Like it's camp, like it's fun, you just have to be there. Like, do you know what I mean? You have to get it. This one says, I was so bored, started skimming to get through to the end. I went into it hoping it would either creep me out or make me laugh as it's satire. It did neither. This is the first Grady Hendrix book I've read, and I'm apprehensive about picking up his other books. I feel like this is the least boring book. Like, I could not put it down. The second half, I was like drastically flipping the pages. I was up until like 2 in the morning, I think. Like, it was so tense, it was so fast paced. This one says DNF at 7 chapters, unengaging and not scary at all. I feel like you haven't got into it. Like, the horror doesn't start until like halfway through. Like, you have to have the build up. Okay, this one says, in the top 5 worst books I've read this year, this isn't horror or funny at all. I feel like it's like how is it not horror? How is it not? It's a haunted IKEA. How is it not horror? Ending was terrible. Love the ending. Too bad every character didn't die. Lol. Wow. A lot of these people say that they kind of felt like it was meant to be a movie. I was like, fair enough. A lot of like multi-paragraph reviews. Yeah, people are saying it's boring. The format was brilliant, but the story was boring. The characters were unlikable and detached. I didn't like the characters, but I feel like you don't need to in horror books. I wanted something drastic to happen, but I kept being let down by cheap and predictable thrills. Unless you really love manual formats, skip this massive letdown. Guys, I feel like I read a different book. It was so intense towards the end. I couldn't find it boring at all. I think I'm gonna leave it there. I feel like we've done a lot. I don't know if this was interesting at all. I feel like it's just me telling a bunch of people that I think their opinion is wrong for like 15 minutes, but I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know if you hated any of my favorite books. Let me know if you know that I hated any of your favorites. I might do this again with like 5 stars of my least favorite books, but yeah, let me know what you guys thought. I thought this would be a fun to do during Vlogmas just because I haven't had a chance to do it before, and I did want to see what people were saying, and I think to draw conclusions, I'm correct and everyone else is just wrong and they just don't get it, and that's fine, and I'm just superior clearly with all my opinions. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like down below, hit subscribe and turn the bell to a little club, and make sure to turn on all notifications, then you'll be notified every single time I post a new video. And if you want to watch my other videos, there'll be 2 on screen ads to pick from, as well as they're linked up in the cards from earlier. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.